Hello, hello,
Hello.
Hello. Hi, guys.
Hello, everybody.
hello.
Hey,
Uh,
how's everybody?
Hi there.
Hi,
Doing
Neta.
great. Doing great. How are you?
Nita.
Hi, April.
Hi. I'm finishing dinner.
Oh my. David Barr's my
Uh,
dinner tonight. I'm too tired to do anything else.
Wombat dinner,
What, Andres?
Wombats.
Anita.
Oh, yeah.
There's a very bad saying about wombats in Australia, and I'm sure you can figure it out, but it says wombats eats roots and leaves. So there's a double meaning, double entendre.
Hmm.
I can't mess with you. It's too dangerous.
Look out. No. How's the heat where everybody is? Is it hot where you are?
yeah, it's
Today's
not
better.
fun.
It was
We
Today
got a
is
little
lovely.
better.
bit of a break today.
We're 70s today, so not bad.
Oh, go away. Jeez, Andres.
We were 90s last week, so I'll take
Yeah.
this.
Well, yesterday I was down in the woods down there, and there's absolutely not a breath of air stirring. The humidity's really high, and it was 97. I don't
Oof.
know
Yeah.
what the heat index was, but I ended up having to rest more than I could work as the day went on.
Yeah, our heat index has been over 100 for a long time, but tennis court temperature last night was 96, but I don't know what the air temperature was, but it was awful. It was like 68% humidity. It was so bad. But this morning, now
Uh,
today, we had 70s, so it's
Yeah, today it's much better.
yeah. I got
It's
all the yard work
89
done.
here.
Humidity is what you call bad?
With 96-degree heat and no air. Yeah.
And the humidity that
Hi,
we had.
Jeanette.
Where I
Hey, I'm
grew
stuck
up,
inside all week.
where I grew up, 96, 97, 100, 100 and, whatever, it wasn't a big deal, but it was dry. There was no humidity like this.
Mm.
Welcome to
Air
Florida.
quality is really bad here because of the fires from Eastern Washington. So I've been stuck inside all week.
Jeanette, where are
Right.
you? What's your state?
Washington State, I have asthma, and so even if it's in the yellow air quality, it affects people like me. So
Oh, I'm sorry.
That
it's
It
sucks.
was
okay.
it was
It
bad
should be
here.
back
I
to
felt it
normal
on
by
my
the
it
weekend.
was hazy. The sun was red. It was
Oh,
so
Oh,
yeah. Yep.
it
Last
it
week.
hit the East Coast hard. And I was doing my conditioning and I was struggling to catch my breath.
Can do it to you.
It's real.
I I grew up with a lot of wildfires being from Australia. So if you throw a cigarette out of your car in Australia and you get caught, you go to jail. I mean, like
Yeah.
there's no fine, it's jail time.
I know.
So
We used to have the same thing when I was a kid. With Sierra Nevada, always lightning storms would start, forest fires, and the planes would fly out, dumping stuff on the forest fires. It was all summer.
mm.
We get them often here. When it gets really hot and stuff, then it causes more fires in like the mountains and
See, Nick has to be careful where he walks. He's so hot with all the power that he has that he lights fires just with these footprints. So we've got to be careful.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Shots fired.
Uh,
so my workout's been inside this week until Sunday. Then I'll go to the gym on Sunday. That'll be the first day doing barbell this week.
You got a plan. That's great.
So my barbell video that I did in form check is from like last Thursday.
Anything counts.
Hey,
Yeah.
I didn't get one done, so
it's
I didn't
fine.
either.
Don't matter when it's from, really, as long as it's recent.
Hey, it is.
unless you wanted to see a form check of me walking along with a hedge trimmer, trying to cut brush down almost to ground level with a backpack on my back,
I'll
I
watch
could have sent I could have sent you a form check of that.
Better you than me.
Oh God, my back is so sore. I don't think I've got my lower back strong enough.
Man, people are still rolling in. That's why I'm waiting still.
Nick, I like the video of you with those bands that you stuck on Instagram today. Those
Yeah,
bands look
that's
amazing.
speed work conjugate. I'm running a conjugate block right now. It's one of my favorite. It's just one of my favorite ways to train for me personally, especially for like putting on maximal strength. So, while I'm waiting to see what comes of World's Strongest Man events to decide if I'm going to do it or not, it gives me something to just steadily progress, build, fundamental strength, and keep chipping away on just simply getting stronger. So yeah, conjugate banded, and you can do speed work without bands. It's just bands add a different element with they force you to accelerate. If you don't accelerate, it makes getting the lockout. Those black bands on the deadlift add somewhere between 200 and 250 pounds. And the blue bands on the squat are around 150-ish. So it requires you to really have a hard input and to keep accelerating on the bar.
Hi, Peggy. Shout out to Peggy who competed this last weekend.
Yeah, and I never did find your,
Yeah.
I didn't find your story about that. I've looked and looked and how in our mess that we have, you can't ever find anything. So tell us about it again.
Yeah, so I competed on Saturday with my team. And I did my first full power competition. So I did squat and bench press and deadlift. And I had a fantastic time. We had an incredible time out there. I've been working since November 2025 on getting my 225-pound deadlift, and we tested it Saturday, and I got it.
Got it. She got it. She got it.
And I got this.
Yeah, show and tell.
Hey,
Woohoo!
cool.
All right.
All
That's
right,
so
enough
great.
about me, you guys. Thank you.
Never
It was
enough
so
about
fun.
you.
Love
You
it.
killed it. And she looks so cute in her bodysuit. You'll never get me in one of those, but she
Called a
looks awesome.
singlet.
She
Called a
did, didn't
singlet,
she?
April.
It's a bodysuit.
Called a
Singlet.
Yeah,
singlet,
we have to learn a
goddammit.
new vocabulary, April.
It's called-
You owned
Okay.
it, Peggy.
Okay. It's a singlet, god damn it. That's what he said. All right, singlet, god damn it. Got it.
New
Yeah,
vocabulary.
put some respect on that onesie.
The onesie.
Well, Nick, I've got a question for you.
Sure.
Whenever you're carrying, like in the strongman competition, I know you're carrying like a sandbag and you carry that in front of you, right?
Mhm.
How do you get a grip on that and how do you keep your legs able to move? Because I had a 50-pound bag of fertilizer and trying to carry it and be able to hold on to it and not have it in the way of my legs. I need a pointer on how to do that.
Yeah. Perfect. So, you pick it and you lap it first. And then you get your purchase when you lap it, then you hip it up. So basically, perfect. I have a tough box right here that I can do it with. It's big enough that I can go through the motion.
Okay.
So like if this is a sandbag, right? What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tip it so I get one hand underneath, and then I drive with my legs. Now my legs are straight. I'm gonna step under and I lap it. So now I'm here. And then I crush it, and then I brace, and then I'm up.
Oh, okay.
Or if it's vertical, right? If I pick it vertical like this, I come up, I lap, get low on it, and clear my hips.
Okay. So take it, put it on your leg, and then do it like a squat, kind of.
Yeah, you kind of have to squat it up.
Okay.
And it's the same, it's realistically the same thing for sandbags, stones, any sort of odd object implement that we carry. The process is all very similar. The variables are how you hold it. Like kegs, the ridges, you can kind of hold on to them. You can really throw them around a little better because they're firm. But stones and sandbags, they don't have handles. So you're really kind of grabbing it like this and
Yeah.
digging in underneath of it. So it does require good grip strength because you got to like hook in.
Okay. So, but the part I missed was being able to get it up high enough because I can't just, you know.
Yeah, you got to lap it and then squat up and then kind of bump it up if you need to. But when you
Okay.
lap, drop lower on the bag so it clears your hips.
Okay.
But there are things like carry and it depends on the length. Like a big Husafell doesn't clear your hips, so your thighs are kind of slamming into it the whole time, and it's just part of the reason why Husafell sucks. And it like in Americas, it was the American Shield carries a Husafell, but the upper half is the United States. And Florida, it's a great place to purchase on in the crutch of your elbow, but it makes you bleed. It makes you pay for that real estate. So yeah, I mean, there's an element of just kind of, it's going to suck when it comes to picking up odd objects that you just kind of got to
Okay.
shake hands, make the deal, and make the most of it.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that because I'm going to have to deal with that stupid bag of fertilizer again. And it's just getting it out and into the front loader on the tractor is the trick.
Yeah,
Because
I
then I
mean,
can make the tractor cheap.
what I would suggest is you can either scroll on my Instagram and find a picture of me picking a sandbag, or go on YouTube and type in how to strongman pick sandbag and carry.
Okay.
Like they're out there.
Okay.
So and realistically, there's variances within people to people and that's the nuance of strongman is like there's still some innovation happening. Like you'll see people do new things. You're like, oh, I didn't think of that. And it's there's variances of what's efficient for you, your proportions, things like that. So you might play with that sandbag and find a way within that what system works.
Yeah,
I mean, you can go as far as getting it up to your shoulder, and
yeah, that's what I do with like, when it's not, well, I had a 35-pound bag of seeds, which I just threw over my shoulder, and you can get that balance because the seeds
Mhm.
will, and that's not a big deal, except, you walk sideways, and if you do that long enough, you get sore. And I do that with, animal feed. But this bag of fertilizer was plastic bag, so it was slippery. It had been opened before, so it was taped, and it was just basically kind of round, and there was no way to grab hold of that sucker. And I
ratchet
thought,
strap.
I'm going to ask Nick what to do with this so I don't hurt myself next
There's
time.
also you can use a ratchet strap. I've used it for barrels that were like 200 plus pounds that I couldn't get around on the
Yeah.
farm, and I'd take a ratchet strap, throw it around the barrel, catch it, crush it with my hands cranked into the ratchet strap. So it's literally like if this is my strap, I wrap it around my one hand and then wrap it around my other and put it around the barrel to fill the gap, and I just crush it that way. So even though there's nothing to hold on to, I can't grab it. The ratchet strap tension allows me to make a handle. So that could also be that's not strong, man. That's just grown up on a farm knowledge.
Yeah, exactly.
And being as
Okay.
tall as the barrel, trying to figure out how to weigh I needed to get it. I had to get it. I would have rolled it, but it had to go uphill, and that just wasn't.
Oh, yeah, no.
Gravity's not kind.
Yeah, gravity's always on. Okay. Well, I'll just try and maybe practice with a bag of cat food and
There you
see what
go.
I figure out with cat food. It's only 35 compared to the crazy bag of fertilizer.
Okay.
So, but yeah, that gives me some ideas for how to handle that. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. All right. We're getting to these form checks. Seems like we filled in here. Mike Evans looks like a squat. Off to a great Wi-Fi start. So what I've deducted is the reason why it does this is my buddy was over the other day, and he pointed out that because I'm in an A-frame house and my receiver for Starlink, where it is, there's like 400 of their satellites that they use. And when one goes over and the line for connection breaks by the peak of my house, there's a gap, and when the next one comes over, and that's where these dead spots are in my internet. And I was like, so I got to move it further away from the house, basically, is what was established. These are good. I mean, you're not slamming into that box. You're going down under control. That's the thing to be mindful of, folks, is when you are doing box squats and it is a hard box or wood box, that you don't come down like a bat out of hell. And because I've said it before and I'll say it again, there's you're caught between a rock and a hard place. A rock is the box and the hard place is that bar, and everything in the middle, your back, is a lot squishier. So if you do come down and it does compress you, you're going to know. So squatting to a hard box, and any box in general, you want to kind of come down under control so you don't, and it doesn't kick you forward if you bounce off of it. But Mike, these are great. The box looked like it was depth wise. I mean, you could do a shorter box.
I can flip it to make it a little bit shorter.
If depth is part of your goal with the box squats, then it does need to come down like 2 inches.
Okay.
I'd flip it to the shorter side. Like today, my banded SSB box squats, they're wide stance with a higher box to keep me in a leg drive range of motion. That's where the carryover is for like my overhead. Before we bring in full-blown at-depth box squats. So application is a very big factor. You're not losing gains here per se, but a long muscle is a strong muscle. So, and I want that power available when you aren't box squatting and used to I want to keep you ingrained in that full range of motion.
Okay, that sounds good. Yeah, I do try to be mindful to stay off of that, not to use that box to kind of bounce. But I noticed when I didn't have the box, I would cheat myself a little bit and not go down. So I need that, some type of marker like that. So yeah, I'll flip it and I'll stay mindful of that. But that's good to hear, because I was a little nervous about these. So I'm glad that my form looks good.
The other options, if these spotter arms go low enough and you're doing like lighter weight, you can drop them as low as needed and run a band across it.
Oh, okay.
And so that band contacts this hamstring glute connection right here, directly underneath your hip, and you just kiss it and come back up. Once you feel it, you come back up. So it's a less firm physical marker of depth. But I'm looking at these holes. If these can get that low, great. It looks like it might. But if not, you'll just have to either stand on plates when you box squat, which I do, or find something lower.
Awesome. Thank you. That's a good idea.
Yes, sir. Becki, deadlifts. We're getting much more leg drive, Becki. Look at that position. Are you in here?
Yay, I'm here. Oh my gosh, I'm so
This
excited.
is so much. I don't know what clicked, but I'm liking this much more. You're bracing. You're not rounding out in that lumbar. The only thing we really want to keep improving on is watch when you leg drive, you collapse at the knee. So what I want you to start doing is slightly point your toes out.
Okay.
And I want you to actively drive your knees out over your pinky toe when you input.
Okay.
What I do as a physical marker, so I know I'm getting correct leg drive and knee path, is because my arms come right down the side of my knees, when I drive, I fire. I'm also firing out against my arms.
Okay. Okay.
But your setup position, how'd they feel, first of all?
A little kind of weird,
Kind of weird.
honestly.
Yeah, but
Yeah, I guess because
did
I'm
you
used
notice
to
a
driving
difference
with my
in
back.
did you notice a difference in off the floor ability?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You're
Yeah.
recruiting a whole nother part of your body into this. I mean, that's lovely. Like
Excellent.
I'm very happy for you on this. And see, it wasn't an issue of you were afraid of your hip mobility and your ankle mobility. And I'm like, trust me, that's not it. Um, it was just a matter of you getting to feel and recognize the position.
Yeah.
And this is a huge step into bringing your deadlift together. So well done.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Rack pulls. So we're just below the knee. Good. We're still low enough that you're still getting leg drive. This is good. Is this where you'd say the weak point is in your deadlift?
Yeah, probably.
Okay. Because rack pulls have varying heights. They can be above the knee, low thigh, below the knee. Mine, I do them just below my kneecap because that's typically where I stall if I stall. So that's a totally valid height. People always commonly ask, what height should I do rack pulls? Well, that's a loaded question. So let's see where's your deadlift suck the most when you're lifting it, and that's typically where we want to throw in rack pulls. We don't want to go too low because then we're basically just almost doing a regular deadlift. But you're kind of at the bottom range of a rack pull height here, and it's totally fine.
Okay.
And
Is
I
there
think
any
it's good.
benefit to raising it up?
Yeah, it's going to be more glute and hamstring and back dominant. You're still at a point in the pool where leg drive is still a big factor. And considering you're just learning how to implement that leg drive, I think this is probably the best decision for height because it's getting you used to
Okay.
driving with your feet and pushing the floor away to finish to start the pull. So I think you starting them lower is probably for the better right now in your deadlift.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Justin, Retaliata, rear fly split squats. Oh, I guess it's two. Justin, I'd kick that back foot a little bit further, so you don't have to fold over. That with the split squat, I'd like to see you maintain a little bit more vertical upper body position. So what I mean by that is when we do open up our stance a little bit, so when we're here narrower, we kind of have to get down and it's kind of trying to push us forward and back at the same time versus if we just open that up to a more comfortable stance, I can maintain that upper body position a little bit with a little bit more ease. Um, there's degrees to where to split squat at and some of its preference, some of its target. But at the end of the day, you're going to hit your quad either way. So I'd rather you spread that out a little bit so you can have that nice vertical positioning. Just in the rear fly. Much better. We're still kicked a little bit down in the elbow. So one thing that I would recommend to try and really make that feel a little bit more natural is instead of this semi-supinated grip, what I would do is pronate. So when I'm doing the raises, it's a much better line versus here it tends to roll our elbow back when we're learning this movement. If we keep the dumbbells in this position, our palms facing us here, and we try and drive this to the ceiling, like we're pulling a rope apart and keeping those elbows nice and high and over our wrist to avoid them falling, you really feel a difference in the rear delt. But this is a better position. Bart, deadlifts and dumbbell incline. Bart's deadlifts looked really good last week. Really felt it in my back. Should I wear a belt? Yes and no. You felt it in your back because you jerked. Belt wouldn't have changed that. Okay. This addresses a bigger question. Does everyone in here understand a belt and how they work? Okay. So, I saw Becki shaking her head no, and one is enough for me. So, this is a very important thing because belts, they are a tool. They don't prevent anything. They don't prevent injury. They don't make lifting safer. I'm willing to bet 50 to 60% of the people in the gym that are wearing them, they don't know how to use it. They just saw people wearing it. They think it's something they wear, so they crank it down tight and it protects the lower back. That's absolutely incorrect. You have to do a certain thing called bracing in order to make a belt effective. And when we're bracing, Becki, if you haven't, I talk about breathing and bracing in the masterclass
I've
videos.
watched it. Yeah,
Okay, so
multiple times.
this is where a belt comes in on that bracing topic, where we're trying to fill that air and fill that section, and we bear down onto it, and that's where we expand into that midsection. So when you're wearing a belt, it gives a barrier to brace against. So it creates more rigid. And when you use a belt correctly, it adds total tonnage to your strength because you have a more solid brace. The core, no matter how strong our core gets, when it comes to lifting weights, our core will always be the weakest part of the chain when it comes to a compound movement because of leverage. Our core is constantly outside of, it's still stabilizing on bench press, but especially squat and deadlift. When there's a hinge in the pattern, our core has to bear the weight. It has to prevent a fundamental breakdown in our position. So what a belt does is it allows us to brace against something. Think of it like this. If you inflate a balloon till it pops, if you surround the middle of that balloon with a ratchet strap, that ratchet strap is going to hold the middle of that balloon in place and it's going to inflate above and below, right? So think of that belt as that ratchet strap. It's that belt of that ratchet strap effectively reinforced the balloon where it touched because it provided a barrier. That's what a belt does. So him asking in this scenario, I felt it in my back, should I wear a belt? Wouldn't have mattered. And the reason being is what he did at the beginning of his pull. Right here, he gets tight, he gets in position, jerks on the bar. Now he's front loaded. If you look, right as that breaks, watch the shift. Do you see that? Right here? Watch this part of his body after the jerk. So the jerk happens. See that? He went from there to there. Now he just sent all of that torsion into his lower back and completely unloaded his brace. So that is why he really felt it in the back. So Bart, you felt it in your back basically because you got in, you got set, you got tight, and then you jerked the shit out of the bar and just pulled yourself out of position and out of the brace, and you put all that torsion into your lower back. Belt wouldn't have saved that. It wouldn't have. So no, you should stop jerking on the bar. Get tight, pull the slack out of the bar when you brace, snapping it. Be patient off the floor. No matter how hard you jerk on that bar, it's still going to come off. A jerk doesn't make you stronger. There's a few pullers that I've seen that can get away with it because they are just, for whatever reason, incredibly strong in the midsection. But therein lies the thing of the weight wasn't maximal enough to bring them out of position with the jerk. Once the weight hits a certain point and you're jerking on the bar, it's going to win because you haven't had it hasn't had time to load your whole structure. Like you have to load your body. That's what's happening as it's coming up off the ground. So when we get into position, we pull in tight, we brace, we snap the bar, and we feel that tension in the bar pick up, we're loaded. And then we can input with our leg drive to come up off the floor. So we're bearing some of the weight in that setup. So when we do input, our body is on par with what's going on. Jerking, I can't emphasize this enough. Jerking will just shoot yourself in the foot. Catch used to do it. He had to do a back rebuild program because he kept fucking up his lower back. So it's not, and it's an instinctive thing because people want power, so they hit really hard. You can hit hard without jerking on the bar. It just takes time and mastery and get. That's why I'm so focused on people's position, Becky's and everything. While we're spending so much time on start position, not only does it start with the floor, but your deadlift progresses from that point, from not just form, but how you input power. It opens the door to levels. So that's why I spend so much time on topics like this. Thorin, landmine row. So Thorin was having an issue he ran out of weight with dumbbells. So this was the solution to get a much heavier row, and this is great. He strapped up because the end of that barbell spins. Big heavy rows. He now has a whole new level of weight that he can now use for his rows because the dumbbells stop at a certain amount of weight and he was too strong. Pretty cool thing to walk into the gym and be like, I'm too strong for this fucking place. Leave it to the big Norwegian. Dumbbell deadlift. Stiff leg deadlift. Or Romanian. It's similar but different. Nailed these. Good hinge pattern. Good glute squeeze. Good tempo. Well done. Ian, single arm dumbbell row. So this is almost like a croc row, which is a variation. The only difference is croc rows are like an overloaded with some body English, but the pattern. You're exaggerating a little much on the back. Aim for like your belly button, a little more in this area. And really focus on that squeeze top versus coming back and driving to your rear. Aim towards that midsection a little bit more, waistline, belly button type deal. Overall, it wasn't bad. It's just, I think if we change that bar path a little bit, it'll suit you a little better. Might feel a little less awkward. Sandra, deadlifts. Overall, that was pretty good. Sandra, you spend so much time down there. That's the only thing is we want to get you confident in your positioning.
I see it. I know it. You should see what I edit out, Nick.
It's working against you.
Okay.
Because if you watch all this piddling around, look at how many times you change position.
Yeah.
Even subtly. Versus getting down, getting set, getting into position. Look, you hinged forward right as you inputted. You go from here, and the first thing you do, your butt doesn't even shoot up. You completely come forward.
I'm overthinking it, aren't I? I can tell.
Very much. Look, you're
Yeah.
slowly rolling forward, and now you're getting out front of the bar,
Yeah.
which is going to cause your leg drive to get extended sooner.
Yeah.
Knees are going to come back. Because you've got to fight for that position now.
Yeah.
And look how your leg drive's virtually done, but you're still so far hinged over.
Yep.
Yep. And it's because we were just slightly out of position. So what I want you to start working on, because your overall technique isn't bad, it's just positioning, and I think all the time you're spending down there is really shooting yourself in the foot. It's something I had to do with Catch. Man, he had the goofiest setup. He'd get down there, he'd do all this huffing and puffing and happy feeting, and I'd be like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
He was like one of the most he still is, and he gets such a high level of arousal, and in his head he gets like neurotic right before he pulls, and I'm like, stop fucking tap dancing, man. Just get down there, grab the bar, brace, and go. Like, just stand up.
Okay.
So you're not to that extent, thank God. But you're piddling around, and it's because you're in here versus in your body, and I want you in your body, because when we start, we're feeling position. That's what's happening. I don't have any mirrors where I train, none. So I was able to add when I was really learning to do this stuff at a high level. It was I would either record it or have someone there, or form checks, things of that nature, to verify my position. And what we need to get you comfortable is doing is from the time you step up to the bar, the time when you're standing up, you can take as much time as you need. Down here, hinged over, we're on the clock.
Okay.
Can't get as much air. We can't, a couple things. Now, for those of you that wear deadlift straps, you don't have an option. When I'm strapping in a contest or something, yeah, I've got to get as much as I can get and go. But for you, who's interested in doing powerlifting, where you aren't using straps, what you'll see a lot of powerlifters do is they will approach the bar bit, and they'll go boom. They get their air, they get down there, they set position, and they go. From the time they get their air to the time the bar's locked out is probably, if it's not a super long pull, 3 seconds.
Okay.
I mean, you could have done 10 reps in the time you did just setting up. So we need to get you in position, which I think you started with your hips a little bit low. So what we're going to do is bring your hips up and put you more into your midfoot, because you're so low, you rock forward to get into position so your legs could pick up. And that's why you had the rise in your hips. Because not only were you in front of the bar, but you were so low in front of the bar. So you're here. We need to get you back, and we need to get you up slightly. So when you drive, look, I'm not even holding a bar, and look how my shoulder is directly over my fist. I'm not over it. I'm not behind it. It's just, I know, because I have a cue in my hamstring and my glute attachment where I feel a flex sensation, a stretch sensation. I know my hips are set. So I have these in my body, not in my head cues, in my body cues for my position. And that's why I want you to be in your body here, not in your head.
Okay, that makes sense.
We'll get you there. This overall isn't bad. It's just we need to think less and lift more.
Okay. All right, thanks.
Yes, ma'am. Sandra, front squats.
Wait till you see these.
Those are pretty good. What I would recommend is using 2 plates, one for each
Okay.
foot, because you see how you kind of have to get out and around.
Yeah.
So it's putting you in a position of being super open in the hips, trying to get your feet at a width comfortable for you to squat.
Yeah.
So one necessarily doesn't require the other, right? So because you have to get out and around, it's causing this external while staying narrow versus getting out here and being able to actually squat into our hips.
Okay.
So what I would recommend is 2 plates. And so you can actually have a much better selection of width to get comfortable.
All right. This
Because
is
I
the
do one
highest.
plate when I'm hack squatting. And
Okay.
hack squatting, for those of you that don't know, the OG way before there was a machine is a high heel elevation, a narrower stance, and you hold the bar under your butt because it puts you in this position and you squat like this. So that's honestly, that's how you're doing that is how I'd hack squat. And it's, I think, probably limiting you a little bit just because your body's trying to fight for position and you're not giving it the width. So we add a plate for each foot, put them at the width you need them, probably directly touching will probably be
Okay.
plenty. And you'll give yourself some grace to kind of figure that out with that change and see which feels better.
Okay. All right. This was the first time I was ever that high, by the way. I've always had a plate underneath my feet. Yeah. But I almost felt like I was in high heels. It was so high.
Do you plan on powerlifting? Do you squat in flat shoes or do you wear lifters?
No, I in those shoes, those are flats. Those aren't lifters. Those are
Do
those
you
good.
do you squat with heel elevation?
No. No, just the flat ones. Just the same thing
Okay.
I use for deadlifting.
You don't put plates under your heels for back squat?
Um, I do. What I'm saying is that I typically just use like little 5 pound weights, which are a lot smaller. You know what I mean?
So
They're
here's
not-
my advice to you.
Hmm.
You can't do that in a powerlifting meet.
Yeah.
Get a pair of lifters.
Okay. So shoe change.
Um,
I can do it.
yeah, get a pair of lifters. And what you look for in a lifter, I've got wide foot, and so do you. Sometimes I go a half size up to give me extra room. I'm using them on
Okay.
static lifts anyway, outside of stones, but you don't have to worry about that. Um, and you want a super rigid sole. And I recommend, so Tier makes a wide toe box, TYR. I wear the Reebok. Um, I love those. They're not as wide as the Tier, but for me, they just uh, I like how stiff and hard they are. Um, it's just really conducive for overhead pressing and things of that nature. But for squatting, you still want that hard, firm sole. You're gonna have to order them online. It is what it is. I know I had a pair of Innovates back in the day. They didn't last as long as I'd like them to, so I wouldn't necessarily recommend those, but they fit well. The Reeboks, the Nike Romaleos, um, the Tiers, Adi Power, Adidas makes a really good lifter. I would say your big
Okay.
three for footwear and ability to find are Reebok, Nike, Adidas. Then you have brands that kind of specialize in it, like Duin. There's another brand that is really heavy in Olympic weightlifting. They like the Lu Zhao's, or I forget what they're called. He's a super notorious Olympian weightlifter from China. Um, but feel free to explore that, do some research on, what shoes feel good on your feet and what you're looking for in a lifter. Rigid
Okay.
soles, my recommendation are the Reeboks, but this is another thing where preference is, there's a lot of good ones. preference is going to be the key. And if you don't like how they feel, I can't emphasize this enough with lifters. Don't try and grin and bear it. Send them back. Try a different pair.
Okay.
So, let me see. I'm gonna give you a little bit of help here. And Rogue has various different brands on the Rogue website where you can kind of shop within that.
Okay.
That would be a good place to start, so you can kind of see different brands, different options. Rogue doesn't really sell shit. Even though they're not Rogue branded, they are. Yeah. Rogue tries to make a habit of not selling bullshit, in my experience, because they have a good reputation for reliable equipment. So all their other stuff, they try to kind of follow suit. But that doesn't mean you have to get it from there. You can shop around, find different prices. They're not cheap. You're going to be spending. I've spent $250 on these shoes. Like they get pretty expensive. Sometimes the previous iteration, like if there's a 1, 2, and a 3, you can get like the 2s. If the 3s are the new ones for a little cheaper. The Nike Ramaleoses, they're a different animal. Some people collect them, and the 1s are the highest demand because they made them out of leather and they last for fucking ever. So those prices went up on those specifically. So enough about shoes. You get what I'm trying to say.
I do.
I'm going on a rant here, but I just want to make sure you have all the information.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your insight, as always. Appreciate you.
Ma'am. Amelie, today better high pull, pretty proud here. Let's see it. Her position's gotten so much better. Little stumble at the top, but the actual execution was awesome. Amelie, these are fantastic high pulls. You should be proud. You've made a shitload of progress. I think you're ready to start adding in the clean. So with that, what I don't want you to do is now go and overthink because we're adding another step. Because Amelie is one of our habitual overthinkers. But she will keep after something, which is one of my favorite things about her. So Amelie, I want you to change virtually nothing. Everything about what you just did stays the same. The only part there's a change is now to receive the bar. So instead of now we're coming up when that bar's floating, you just fire under. You're literally going from here to here. We're not flipping around like we were doing before and making it come high and almost knocking our teeth out. We're coming up, high pull, extend, catch. Just firing under. That bar rotates, rotate around it. That's it. Think no more, think no less. Catch it. Thomas looks like potentially a front squat, narrow stance, lower J hooks. Good. Thomas, that's beautiful. Run with this. Your setup, look at those elbows, proud chest, the brace, the position. everything's together. I mean, you're even on your harder reps, you're not really getting out of position. I love this. So front set, narrow stance. What did that say? Feet still not aligned. Okay. Yeah, but they're nothing crazy. We are favoring, we've got some big hip shift into that foot. We're already kind of contorted in your setup. If it's hard to see because you got a big shirt on. But it looks like we're twisted actually at the hips, and our feet are where we're kind of showing. So with that hip shift, there's a couple things. And before I really start giving you things to start working on it, are there any injuries I need to know about? Are there any, that could cause mobility restrictions, tighter on one side, things of that nature? So if you could, in my article, tag me and answer that question, that would be fantastic before I really start brainstorming and thinking about how I want to attack your hip shift, because I don't want to cross any red tape. If there is an injury that has created imbalance, it might change how I approach the correction. So I don't want to hurt you by accident. So if you could let me know, make sure you tag me so I see it. I'll keep an eye on the notifications for you, and we can start problem solving the hip shift. Mark Shindy, front squats. First attempt feels weak. These are actually pretty awesome. I mean, great position in the hole. Doesn't break at all. Yeah. Mark, if this is your first attempt, they're going to feel weak because they're harder. Leverage is not in our favor on a front squat, but the carryover to so many other things is phenomenal because of the way it tries to fold you. Your front squats actually look stellar. Seeing a lot of good front squats today. Sandra, you kicked us off to a good start. I would like to see you send a video from the front. I'd like to see what your feet are doing a little bit, see what's going on with the hip position, the knee position, the foot position. See if there's anything we can work on, improve there that might make it feel less weak outside of it being what seems to be new. But everything else, especially like from the hips up, look fucking awesome. Your depth's great. You move very well. So I'm excited to see how this progresses. But we'll see what it looks like from the front and see positioning wise what holistically is going on. Stefan, deficit deadlifts. So, not bad. Deficit deadlifts, you have two options. Drop your butt and fight to hold position. So we load the quads more. Our quads are a big off the floor power generator. Or keep your conventional deadlift stance off the floor and hinge over slightly deeper and expect a longer hinge in the top range of motion. Either way, your legs have further to go. So, Stefan, what we need to do for you is your position is good. But what is happening is you are leg driving and It is driving you so far. Look how far your butt travels before the bar actually makes progress. We've literally gone from here to here for the bar to the bar's not even off the ground. So all that did was displace you. So that put you out front of the bar. And did you see how that one side tried to swing out and it started a little bit of a twist? So that was your body trying to get into alignment. And look, you're having to actively fight that bar back. So one of the things we need to do is we can either bring your hips up slightly, probably to somewhere around here is going to be better. You're too low in the hip, which is causing it to rise. Now we're mostly hinging. The leg drive is kind of dissipated, and we're using heavy glute and lower back to generate the finish. So let's start by elevating it, letting it suck your knees back a little bit, keeping that bar over midfoot, and working to find this position on your deficits. And Ottman, high pulls. So you've got the right idea. This is pretty good. You're out front. So see how that bar's over your toes? I want you to put it in kind of that deadlift position. So what I want to bring you up to a hang clean first. So the hang position and do a high pull. So we're not worrying about a broad movement. We're going to build the movement from a top portion down, just like we did with Amelie, and hers look fantastic. Sometimes people learn better off the floor. Sometimes they learn better from the hang. Typically, when the floor is very disconnected, we switch to the hang and then build it down. So from the hang position, you're going to start standing upright, and you're going to brace. You're going to hinge back, soft at the knee, higher. Catch, brace, down, hinge in that nice, like, kind of RDL position. We're pushing our butt back, driving through the legs, and then finding that triple extension. Your extension's a little broken. You're jumping away from the bar, kind of. The bar's staying. You're kind of pulling it out away from you. So I want to narrow down the broadness of the movement that you need to think about and focus on, and get you doing a chunk of it first, and then building it into off the floor. Claude, bench press. Yeah, that bench kind of being in that position kind of fucks you. Can't really be flat on it. It's kind of arcing you out. If that can adjust up, I would adjust that up to make it as flat as possible. But if that's the way the bench is, then it is what it is. The unrack. That's good. Look how tight he is in the shoulder and the lat, the proud chest. Claude, this is your actual bench press is very tightened together. I like it. I would like to see you get on a flat bench though, if that is an option. If not, you got to work with what you got, and I get it, man. But your bench press looks really good, actually, from a technical standpoint, protecting those shoulders. Look at that lat engagement. Look at that. I'd like to see you press a little bit. There you go. More towards your face. That was much better. Great job. Aaron Chabot, straight leg deadlift. This is pretty much it. So I would like to see you maintain the range of motion where this can stay tightened together, and we don't get into any sort of flexion. So if you have to keep your butt pushing really fast, really far behind your heels, and to maintain position, if you need to stop just shy of the floor, that is totally okay. Again, just because it was asked, some people see straight leg and stiff leg deadlift. It's the same thing. RDLs and SDLs, they're siblings, but they're nuanced in differences. RDLs are a little more exaggerated with pushing our hip position back, and we don't go all the way down to the floor. Stiff leg deadlifts are just a anti-leg drive deadlift. But I don't really care if you're doing RDLs or SDLs in this environment, because they're working very, very similar things, almost the same exact things. So I don't care if you end up doing an RDL by accident in place of a stiff leg or a stiff leg in place of an RDL. In this application, I don't care, because they're both forcing the glutes and the hamstrings to do most of the work. So for you, I'd like to see that hinge pattern cleaned up a little bit. It's going to be subtle. Your first couple reps are really great, but I'm looking for this to keep as straight as possible, really turning that tailbone to the sky, pushing that belly button to the floor. And if it means a shorter range of motion for the time being, so be it. I want you to stay in that range of motion on the SDLs, that you can maintain a nice together hinge. Mike Goldberg, bodyweight squats. See what they look like this week. Good. We're getting those knees out. We're not collapsing in like we were. This is all really, really good. Depth will come. We need to get you used to that range. We're getting there. So I've got him doing these up against the wall because we were folding really heavily before. And this is forcing him to maintain a certain level of posture with the barrier. So what you guys are looking at is a super stripped down progression of squat technique at a bodyweight level. And this, I'm really glad he submits, because not everyone takes to movement like a fish to water. And what I enjoy about Mike is it allows me to kind of coach this at such a stripped down fundamental level of position and learning a foreign movement that his body is not necessarily used to. So, because all of this applies to what everyone else is doing. It applies to what Thorin is doing with his, 250 kilo squat. Like, this is where it starts. And Mike is very coachable. So he's willing to do all this nitty gritty, not fun, not pretty stuff. And he's really taking this seriously, which I love. And he is forcing himself at an incremental level to get this down. And what we're seeing now is a level of progression where we are slowly correcting one thing that was putting him so far out of position. And then we're getting him comfortable. And then we're going to eventually let the depth come in as the movement pattern sequences at different levels of his progression. So we're building the sequence for Mike, and he's got pretty much a clean slate. So what we're seeing is a little bit of weakness in the adductor and things like that create the stability. We've got this, looks like Mike, it looks like you're fairly flat-footed. We have some stability issue in the foot, but we're going to work that out, man. So the next thing is, Mike, I'd like to see these from the front too. If you could, your next video, give me, your first 2 reps in the front, and then you can do the rest of your reps from the side. I want to see where our knees and feet are now going and our width with this wall barrier technique. so we can then address and accumulate the next set of cues. Because I like how you're not forcing depth to sacrifice your upper body position, because this is a position we want to continue to keep. For you, we might have to get you slightly wider, but another alternative that we can do with this is you look like we have some fairly not crazy long femur length because of that fold. Elevating the heels like you've seen me do with other people, an inch or two, to get that anterior pelvic tilt might make the feeling of the folding a little less prevalent, and you can focus on the depth. These high pulls again. Yeah. Pete, trap deadlift. Let's see what we got this week, Pete.
Doing the catch dance.
Yeah, you are. Not quite as bad, though. What'd you notice on that pull? Right. It happens right when you come off the ground. What happened there? Tell me what you see.
Except for some hip movement, I guess, is
Nope. I'll give you a hint. It has to do with the bar.
I swung back.
What's that mean?
That I wasn't properly set up, so I needed to get a little bit further over or forward,
It means
further
you're too
forward.
far away. So
Yeah.
if we were to look at it from the side, if this is your knee right here, your hands are probably somewhere here. So when you broke your hand to shoulder line, let me rephrase that. This is your shoulder and this is your hand.
Right.
What happened as soon as it came up, it swung into alignment because the ground was no longer there to stop it. Which also means when you set up, your leg drive, your leg input was also behind the bar. So when we're doing that, I want a good place to kind of start working that place memory as a cue is if your thumbs kind of come up the side of your knees with a trap bar. Like literally like right here. Not here, not back here, like somewhere on the side of that kneecap where we feel those bones right here is typically give or take a good way to kind of replicate position every set.
Okay.
Because your position from this, it'd be much easier to see where exactly how far you were out front from the side.
Okay.
So if you send me your deadlifts again next week, let me see it from the side, and I can kind of pick at that, and see what I could give you cue wise with side angle input.
All right, I'll do it.
But overall, your deadlift doesn't look bad. I mean, you didn't really fold. You had good leg drive. It's just positioning.
All right. Well, thank you.
Yes, sir. Sandip. I feel like I'm saying that in the most uncultured way possible. Sandip. Probably like Sandip, maybe?
Sandip, yes.
Oh, yeah. These are looking better. So now, really, your main hurdle is your hip position. Everything else is coming together. You see how far your hips came up before the bar even moved?
Yeah.
So we need to start a little bit higher. So we're too low here. We're too low. We're not, as soon as we input we tilt up and we're behind the bar. And the bar is out leveraging us. So now you're so far over right here. You see how like it's like you're almost in your toes. Look at that flexion in the Achilles. We have a steep knee angle. Part of that is because we're too low. So to correct that, watch as your hips kick up, your knees will naturally suck back. Somewhere in this range between here and here, whoops, too far. Somewhere between here and right in there is going to be your deadlift position. So what it comes down to is we're here. We're going to come back into that midfoot. Take all these flip-flops. We're really far here. So I'm almost toe heavy. Like you were in so much ankle flexion, your heels were light in the hole. So we're going to go from here to here and then come back. So now I'm in a deadlift position and we return to that position. Notice how I don't have to go around my legs or my knees don't have to get out of the way to stand straight up. If I just bring my hands straight down my thighs, they don't have to. If I go too far forward and get into that knee flexion again, watch what my hands do. You see how they had to travel around my knees? Versus if I let them glide down and my hips get out of the way, and then I'm on the bar. So it's a kind of a little subtle way to kind of find that spot of not too far forward, because when we're too far forward and we're in this point of flexion in the knee and the ankle, look how far past the bar our knees are. So we need to kind of decompress you in a way. You're kind of folded on yourself. So by bringing your butt up slightly, it'll suck your knees back. And then we've got to keep you into that midfoot so we're not up front. The reason why you're rising up and over the bar is because you're out front, but it doesn't look like it because we're so folded up. So if you were to get into position, let the knees suck back, let the hips rise a little bit, you're going to feel that bar being out front. It's going to look out front. So you're compensating, you're trying to get yourself around the bar versus getting in position and getting the bar where you need it.
Okay. If I bring myself up a little, how would I get my back angled like in that 40, I guess like 45? That, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. So it looks like you've got long arms, right?
Yeah, and legs.
It might just be the angle, but it looks like you're a fairly long-armed fellow, which is a great thing for deadlifts because that means it gives you a higher start point in the chest. So if I were to say find that position, what you're worried about is, if I'm correct, you're worried about this angle.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not talking about going from here to here. You're going from here down and forward. So, well, too much. You're going from here to here. Like, it's a matter of this and this. Like, we're talking, I don't want you to come all the way up.
Mm-hmm.
We're going from super compressed to just see how I come up and back in a matter of a span of like 4 inches.
Yeah.
This angle between your shoulders and your hips solely depends on your appendage length, right? So, the thing that we need to happen is we need to give your legs, your core, and your back the most amount of leverage possible over the bar, which requires the right setup and stacking of each of those accordingly, the bottom up or the top down. So to do that, I don't want you to worry about this angle. I want to get us into a position where we're not so far forward and folded over. We need to get you back into that midfoot. Let me see if I can find a video of what I mean. Here we go. Andres is setting up on deadlift. You see this angle right here, how he's not so far past the bar in the realm of his ankle to knee relativity. So when he goes to pull, I don't know who needs to meet themselves. Who is it?
Me, for sure. Let me go farther away.
So look how he's setting up now. He's piddling around, but he's getting set up at a point where he's not too far over. So when he pulls, notice how there's not a giant change in his hip position. They don't shoot up in the air because he's not too folded over. And he's just doing this to do rows. That doesn't change the deadlift out of the hole. So with that being said, with your hip, knee, and ankle angle, your ankle flexion is what's dictating your knee flexion, and what's dictating that in turn your hip position, because your knees are so far. If my foot's down here and this is my knee, if I'm here, right, I now have a lot of flexion here in the Achilles. So what happens is that puts my knee over the bar. And if the bar is the lid of this cup right here, if my knees are all the way here, it means look what has to happen to my wrist. This has to come down to get there. So we're creating this. So what has to happen to get to input, we have to drive, the knees come back to the point our midfoot's loaded, then it comes up. So what's happening is you're getting in this position and your body is uncompressing, unfolding to a point it can actually get into a position to lift the bar because it's so far forward due to the folding. Look how when you pull, watch when you actually break off the ground. Look at the gap you just created. So your shoulders are over the bar, your hips are way behind the bar, and we're virtually using all hamstring to get up off the floor, even though your hips are lower. So the whole leg drive process is just essentially pulling you back to get into a position to lift, and it's not actually lifting the bar. We want the leg drive to lift the bar. So we have to set here to, you see how you just pitched way forward there? That whole thing, you sat down. This is way too deep. And then your hips don't, if you come up from there, that's what we want. If you pull into that position and then you simply just bring your hips up and let your knees suck back slightly, that's going to be closer to where you want to be. So if you pull in that low, that's fine. But look how your shoulders are directly in line with your wrist versus watch what happens now. See how just far forward you just pitched?
Mm-hmm.
So now you loaded the front of your foot. You just took yourself out of potential leverage to out of leverage. All you had to do once you got to here was simply bring the hips up and slightly back and the knees clear out of the way. Then you brace and drive.
Okay. bar to the laces, butt up and back. Okay,
Yes.
I'll try that.
But this is good. We want shoulder directly over the bar. Overneath. I think I just made a word. Barbell squat. That is actually much closer to our target. How does this, when you get to the bottom, what do you feel? Do you feel restriction anywhere or anything?
My thing, I'm trying to get like a little bit lower, but I feel like this is like kind of my like where it ends. Like otherwise I'm just gonna sit down.
Okay. And what are you feeling that makes you feel that? What are you feeling in your body that makes you think that?
My excuse me, sorry. I guess it's just that thing of like, can my legs get back up? Like I don't, it's just like a um once I'm like in that almost like close to parallel position, it feels like my legs are just kind of like, okay, you're good there. Even though I want to try and get like a little bit lower, I that's the best way I can explain it.
Does it feel the same even when the bar's empty?
No. I can when I'm like doing like workups like with a lower weight, like I can just go all the way down and all the way up.
Okay. So here's what we're gonna do.
And also I will say I'm still working on this. I have problems with not folding. There's actually another video where I kind of get, I guess, like out of alignment and actually like hit the wall with the barbell. I dented my wall a little bit.
That's
right
fine.
behind the flag. But like,
I don't expect every rep at this stage in your progression to be what we want because you're still learning movement pattern. I don't have that expectation for anyone.
But that's also like a concern. Like I don't want to. I'm trying
so
as upright and yeah. Anyways,
the one thing I'm struggling with is perception here due to the camera angle. I'm kind of want to take your feet a little bit wider because it looks like you're running into a little bit of a hip restriction, and that can push you over. When our hips can't open up to squat, it tends to push people over into the fold sometimes.
okay.
So again, these adjustments are little, right? I don't want you taking two big steps out, and next thing you know, you're in a fucking sumo stance.
Yeah.
I want you taking like this much, and I got fat fingers. I got absolute meat hooks, so maybe even less. Like you might just take out this much, and it's just bit, and then that little quarter inch, half inch, whatever was enough clearance to allow your hips to really open up to allow them to travel into depth. Because I'll tell you one thing right now, your legs can squat this. Squatting almost rarely, unless it's high rep. When it comes to maximal strength, the legs are typically not the culprit. It's typically bearing the weight. It's the core, the weak link, is when someone, because typically when someone on the squat fails, they most of the time fold, which isn't your legs. It's being able to get the power into the bar, and what has to maintain is the core. So the power has to go through here to elevate the bar. So what I think we can start off by trying, one, is taking you out slightly wider in your foot width. And what I want you to do on your workups is play with a couple different widths. Each workup set. So you do a rep, go a little bit wider. Do a rep, go a little bit wider. Okay, too wide, let's bring it back. In the process of that working up, every set of workup, I want you to do that. And I want you to decide which of those, and what I want you to pay attention to is if you feel any sort of restriction in allowing your hips to continue to descend. I want you to feel and find that physical feedback. And then once you get to your working set, I want you to go with the one that felt the least restrictive and felt like it opened up depth more.
Okay.
And that's the one I want you to send to me.
Okay.
Because one of those is probably gonna, it's like a light bulb goes off in your body, like, yeah, that felt good. That felt better. And none of them might feel great because it's new, but one will just, I don't know, it might tickle your brain. Like it'll just make a little bit more sense.
Yeah.
All right?
Okay. All right, thank you.
Yes,
Appreciate
sir.
it.
Juliana, dumbbell, kickstand, stiff leg deadlifts. Much better. Nailed these this week. She's driving that hip forward. She's nailing this. Look, you can see how light that rear foot was. Well done. And people, just to save you some time, if you're doing a stiff leg deadlift or a straight leg deadlift, you can just simply put SDL. I'll know what that means. That is a very common in programming SDL, RDL acronym for this. So DB, kickstand, SDL. So you don't have to, props to your grammatically correctness, even with the dash. I wouldn't have even known to put that there, but your kickstands are looking awesome. Well done. Andres, your barbell.
Yes, sir.
row. As we already covered, you picked this up like a pro.
Yep. Well, I
proper
learned a
deadlift
lot.
form.
You beat me a lot with the deadlift stuff, so I should know by now.
So rowing a little bit too high in
Okay.
the sense of in relativity to this, I want you to row more towards that belly button line. And
More
what I
down.
want you
Okay.
to think about when you do row, and again, people, there's a scale to rows, strict, less strict, Penlay rows with leg drive. There's variations of this. And whatever variation you're running in your program, I don't care as long as that variation is done correctly. So when you're finishing that row with the body English, I don't want you to curl around that bar. You see how I to get that last little inch of range of motion? What I want you to do, if you're doing body English and we're coming up out of the hole, I'm getting that slight hinge, but I'm still driving my chest.
Okay. Yeah, don't bring it down. Got it.
Squeeze.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not squeezing here, and I'm stopping that back contraction. I'm squeezing into my back and pushing that chest out to squeeze. It's the difference of doing this and this.
Mm-hmm. And so my arms like around here, I guess, right?
Yeah, like wherever your belly button is.
Yeah. So okay. So here. Okay.
Yeah. Otherwise, you're doing great.
Okay.
Just
Cool.
that cue of squeeze the back, keep the chest proud, and rotate the belly button.
Yep. All right. Cool. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Jacqueline, revising the Russian twist. Yes. Much better range of motion. Look how she has to kind of come down over her hip and really come down into the twist and contract. I imagine these felt better, different than they did last week, judging by what you wrote in the article. You thought there was a little more to it, and you were correct. But these look much better. Look, she's keeping her feet off the floor, making these even harder. This is well done, Jacqueline. Jeanette, dumbbell high pulls.
I'm stuck inside, so I'm doing dumbbells this week.
These are great. The only thing I wish you had heavier dumbbells.
Oh, I own up to 45 pounds, so.
Your form is great. This looks easy for you. How are we doing on reps?
Good.
Yeah? Okay.
I've had yesterday I had the 8-pound one, and I had to pause some because a little bit because it was like the high rep day.
That's good, but you're getting them done.
Yeah.
Luyen, squats. Jesus, he buried that. Luyen, we don't need to go that deep. You see how, I mean, it is a Smith machine. It's not gonna, but you see how we're now going here and our hips are actually traveling forward. So realistically, I mean, he's going fuck ass to grass. This is like hamstring to calf. Like, I feel like he's made out of rubber at this point. Realistically, even if you want to go deeper than deep, that there. But this, like, we're now out of the plane if our hips have to do this arc, and then it's quad drive, boom, quad drive. So it's almost like like this kind of depth on a hack squat makes way more sense because of angles. But on an actual squat, I'd rather see you go to somewhere in here. Whoops, too far. Somewhere in there versus literally going so deep you come forward and rebound off of your calves. We're just adding unnecessary flexion into that lumbar is really the only concern. Luyen, barbell RDLs. Beautiful. Good job. Crush these, dude. Well done. Matt Shepard. 3 by 100, 3 reps at 120 kilos. So that's probably like 250-ish pounds. Okay. All right. So we're going to take this from the top. All right, Matt. We don't put deadlifts in a rack. We don't walk with them. We pick them up off the fucking floor. As the good Lord intended. It's called a deadlift. Dead weight, standing still. So with that being said, no more of this shit, okay? But fast forwarding through that, your actual deadlift, because the reason being is, say you want to test one day, you're not going to pull it out of a rack and walk with it. We need you good off the floor, all jokes aside. That is a very important part of the process. So your actual position is pretty fantastic. So we don't have a lot of ground to make up. I just want to see what you deadlift without the rebound and the touch and go. So you see how you kind of kiss the floor and then come right back up and you maintain tension? I want you to deadlift from a dead stop every single rep, because when it matters is when it's from a dead stop. So it's like a 1/1000, rebrace, drive, down, rebrace, drive. Just get in a cadence. your actual pulling technique is pretty good. I want to see what it looks like raw from setting up to a bar on the floor. But I don't think we have far to go here, man. Overall, this is fantastic positioning. I love this. So well done. Just don't put it in a rack anymore. Thanks. Chad Powell, deadlift. Second rep was better than the first. We got a little bit out of position. Meaning, watch, bip, got a little out front. That's okay. Second rep, dead stop. Good. So so here's where that little shift happens. See this? It's this angle right here. Same Sandip, this is your bird of a feather here. He's just has a little bit better positioning, so it's not as exaggerated. When Chad breaks off the ground, look how those knees start peeling back, but the bar hasn't lifted yet. Now the bar's loaded. Now the bar's up. Look where his position has changed to. Chad, this is much closer to your starting position. Give or take, somewhere in here. So this is a better angle of what I was trying to explain to you, Sandip, in the fact that he's setting up super compressed. And what has to happen is, look how far the barbell's here, the knees are here. So what has to happen is he's so front half foot heavy. When he goes to pull, he has to get alignment with his power. Now, his deadlift position looks fucking awesome. We just need to get Chad to start there. Same with you. So Chad, look at that brace. Strong core, nice neutral back position. Strong back, no issues there. It's just position, body and space. And I want you to start shooting for this. So it's going to be, get down into your position like you've been doing, then bring your hips up slightly so your knees suck back, pull. And then eventually you'll be going right down into that position. Franzi, front squats. Fucking awesome. These are so good. Rack position, great. Hip position. Look at that strong midsection. She's holding position the entire time. She's moving incredibly well. Outstanding. I love this. Franz, you have a great front squat. Deadlift. So far, so good. Good setup. Shoulders are a little bit past the bar here. Okay, the thing that jumped out at me, get rid of these shoes on deadlift. Any sort of compound movement. These spongy, heel, elevated are working against you in both stability and kind of pitching you forward. But your hinge pattern, the actual deadlift, is actually pretty good. Yeah, the actual I mean, you can see the elevation here, and you can see when she goes to pull, you can see the fight for stability. Look at that, right here in the ankle. Look at that. Look at her ankles and legs trying to find that stability in those shoes. So kick those off, do it in socks. Flat, low, firm. Your actual deadlift, though, is actually really good. I want to see what changes when we get you flat on the ground. I think it'll be for the better. Bridget Fronenberger, deadlift. What Catch has me doing forces me to fuck up people's names, so I apologize. I have to say the name before the lift, so the AI, when we mark things, it picks it out. Second rep was better than the first. God damn it. Let me move this. There we go. Out front there. Yep. You see when you picked, it swung forward or it swung back towards you. That bar's swinging towards you as it breaks off the ground. So that means that was better, had less swing. So realistically, your hip position is okay. We need to get you pulling. See how you push forward into the bar? The bar's rolling away from you as you pull in, and then the bar immediately swings back. So that's what you need to be conscious of with this is when you're pulling into the bar, you're actually pushing it away from you, and we need to get you to keep that bar in place when you pull in tension into your hips so it doesn't start out front. Don't let that bar move. Keep it close. Chris, RDLs. Chris, not bad at all, man. You've got like the bulk of it here. Keep fighting to push those hips back instead of bending at the knee. It's not much knee bend. Keep really exaggerating the hips gliding back. That's the actuator here. The hips on a glide path forward and back. The other thing, when you sit and push your hips back, I don't want you turning that chin up. I want you to brace, lock that chin down, and it stays the same the entire time. We create an entirely neutral posterior. But again, this some little fine-tuned stuff. Overall, you've got the gist of it, man. You've got some of the really important parts. You're not folding. You're doing a lot of things correctly. Bridget's second deadlift video. Yep, out front. Same thing. Barrett. Barrett, are you in here?
Yeah.
Are you naturally more pigeon-toed?
Yeah.
Okay. So when we're doing hinge or anything glute activation,
Uh-huh.
I want you to stand up for me real quick if you can. So I'm gonna do it with you. All right. So stand in your natural pigeon toe where our toes are a little bit more in or neutral. I want you to try and squeeze your butt.
Here, let me try and find a good spot where I have a little bit of room to do this.
Squeeze your butt at your natural stance, the slight pigeon toe. Then what I want you to do is take your feet and pivot your toes outward. Just twist them on your heel so they're pointed slightly out. Now I want you to squeeze your butt. Which felt easier?
Okay.
What felt easier? Squeezing your butt with them out or in? I just want you to squeeze your butt. Squeeze your butt as hard as you can.
Uh-huh.
Like your butt cheeks together, like hit.
Yeah.
Did it feel easier with the toes out or in?
I would say out.
Yes, that is correct. So, there's a reason. Is because to externally rotate, our glutes have to get into to do the work. To internally rotate, we actually have to basically, for lack of better terms, is kind of open up back there, and it's hard to create a contraction. So when we get those toes out, to even just turning your toes out, your glutes fire. Like just to even not doing weight, your glutes are actually getting involved to simply turn your toes out.
Okay.
So what that translates to is when you do deadlifts or any sort of hinge involved pattern like a squat, we're going to slightly point our toes out. And what's going to happen is your glutes are going to be much more at an advantage to do this movement that you're doing, especially the RDLs. And what you're going to notice is when you come up to the top and you squeeze for the lockout, I bet you're a little more sore the next day.
Okay. I'll have to play around with that.
Yes. Your actual hinge pattern, though, is really good. You're creating a neutral spine. You've got good tempo. I'd like to see you kind of accelerate just a little bit on the way up, but your eccentric, the down, is very good, very controlled. You're not going too deep and causing flexion in the lumbar. The actual movement pattern of the hinge itself, you're doing an excellent job. I just want you to you've got more power on the table by simply just going, boop.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's that simple.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Good job. William Cook, squats. Again, footwear, big factor here. These are like a running shoe, spongy shoe. We don't want them on anything that requires stability like this. And you can see the feet fighting for it, the ankles. So, William, your squat, your hinge, everything looks good. We need to get you deeper. That is the main elephant in the room here. What I think we're going to do is, because you have different speeds through your descent, what I want you to start doing is when you squat for about 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Let's give it 3 weeks. If by week 3 you're not doing the things that I'm seeing anymore, we can drop it. 3 count tempo on the eccentric. So what that's going to look like, you're going to take those shoes off, and that'll be the first thing. And then when you squat, because you kind of go drop in and then you slow, I want you to have a 3 count from top to bottom. Brace, 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000 up. So we maintain the exact same pace. Naturally, under heavy weight, I have about a 2 count eccentric just because I'm trying to maintain tension. So it's not far off of what a natural pace could be, but it's slow enough that it prevents you from speeding up any part of the deadlift, or I'm sorry, the squat in that eccentric. So it'll be 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 up. And we're going to really fight for that depth. It's hard to tell from here, but maybe width could be a factor here. Send me one from the side and the back next week so we can kind of get a full look. Deadlift. Same thing with those shoes. And very on par with the last deadlift and Sandip's. He's doing the same. It's virtually the same thing, positioning wise, where we're trying to squat down into it basically, and we have this really big plane this really big thing of knee and ankle flexion happening. So much like you, Sandip, because I see you're still here. Look how the knees have to get back to clear. So William, what I want you to do is bring your butt up from here to here. Your knees will naturally suck back. Sit back. So from there, once we get the hips and the knees clear, we're going to sit back like this. It's literally just fit into that midfoot and heel. And that will prevent you from being out front as well. You can tell just by the barbell and his heel how far out front that bar is. So everything needs to kind of come back. You're in your own way a little bit here. So by bringing the hips up, sucking the knees back, bring the bar in, and as you sit back into that, should put you in much better alignment. Jan, redo seated dumbbell clean and press, eliminating the big swing. She gave me a heads up in the article today that's what she was doing. So we're still doing the big swing. You see how there's no shrug to bring the dumbbells up. So you're moving the dumbbells around your elbow, essentially. Look at this. There's a giant arc happening. So we look where the elbow is, and look how it's flying forward. The dumbbells shouldn't need to go that far out in front of you. So see this? This is the arc, the swing we're trying to eliminate. It's this having to come all the way around town we're trying to eliminate, because it's going to cap how much weight you can progress into your press. So what I mean by that big swing, I don't care if there's a swing here. It's when the swing continues to here. It's this part we're trying to eliminate as much of as possible. Now, there will always be a little bit due to the nature of biomechanics. We can't go through our own shoulders. But what happens is when we get into here, we get a little kickback and we come up and we shrug and we come up with the body, and my elbows stay kind of in line. And as they start to come forward, we yank up and flick. So our elbows just pivot and think like switch places with the dumbbell. So we go here, up, flick. So we turn this forward momentum into upward momentum. It's the same reason. Momentum is a finicky thing. Back when I used to fight, one of the things we were taught to kind of keep some subtle movement in our hands. The reason being is it's generating momentum. I can get better acceleration from a jab if I'm kind of floating and come around and I roll that little small circle into a jab. Same thing with a straight. If I'm kind of floating and in that flotation, I can rebound on that momentum that I've already generated. This is that little circle, right? We're doing this little circle here and coming up, proud chest, and flicking. So we're not going and landing. We're swinging slightly forward. Now we've got forward momentum, and we take that forward momentum and we just pull straight up and flick.
All right, third time's charm.
Third time's the charm. It's all right. It took Andres a couple weeks for this one too. It's okay. But he got there.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Stefan, rack pulls. Good acceleration. So, Stefan, your rack pulls are going to be the heaviest variation that you likely do with your deadlift. So these, we do really want to push that upper realm of weight for you. These are moving really, really fast. This is borderline speed work. I want to see you push weight on these. And while maintaining a certain level of perfection, your back, your brace, everything, I want to see you fight for those reps a little bit more in a rack pull. A rack pull is going to be the heavier version because it's the part where we have the biggest advantage of leverage, and it's lockout power. Christian, looks like deadlift maybe. What's going to come up? Yep. Okay. So here's why I knew that is because you are too deep. You're too Sandip, another one. See, you're not the only one, my dude. It's a very common thing. People it's like people are wanting to be in position and they're thinking lift with legs, not back. Deadlift, you got to lift with your back. It's part of it. But lifting it in the correct way. So, Christian, that is closer to your deadlift position. So, look how light these heels are, right? Which means we're too far forward. So, what's going to happen is your butt has to come up and allow your knees to suck back slightly so we can stay in that midfoot. Your hands are your knees are past your hands. When in a deadlift a straight bar deadlift, that's not normally the case. So if I'm deadlifting and I'm literally here, I have to get back to come up. Versus if I go down to the bar and I'm here, my hands are literally right kind of slightly, the bar is slightly in front of my kneecap, because I'm in a position where I can get my quads into it, but my hamstrings pick up right away. So we need to get you less folded and stacked on top of each other and allow your knee flexion to come out a little bit so your hips come up a little bit and it pulls your knees back and it puts you in a better position. Because watch as you input. That's going to be closer to your position with some slightly more knee bend. You're just so folded up, it's putting you out of position. The other thing, when you lock out, you don't need to do all this. I don't want you to think rise and lean back. As you're ascending and we're coming up, our hips are advancing to the bar. So when we get to this point, boom, shoulders are back. I'm not coming all the way back and softening at the knees. I'm coming up, hips are driving to the bar. Boom. And I'm locked out. I'm stacked. Shoulders, hips, knees. I'm stacked on top of each other with some slight, ever so slight lean back. But I'm not rising and then pulling it in and pulling it back. I'm just firing my hips to the bar, trying to snap the bar in half. So the hips meet the bar. We don't bring the bar to our hips. Tish seated, clean and press, and squats. Let's see if Tish has the hang of the seated clean. A little bit. She's leaving some on the table. This is an explosive thing. We want to get as much explosivity into this as possible. And I think that's what a lot of people miss is you see how she kind of flicks right at the end? She's got the right idea. There's the flick. See how she brings them up and to her? She doesn't let them float out and around. She up and then boom, she comes in. So Tish, same thing I was giving to Jan is you can use a little bit of that body English to come up and back into it. So as they start to come forward, we're yanking up and catching. So getting our kind of what we can, because we're seated, into the explosive portion of what's required. So your clean doesn't limit the press as much. and her squats. So we're shallow for sure. And it looks like we're squatting down and forward versus staying back into that midfoot and heel. Yep. And I don't think this is anywhere near a power issue for you, Tish. I think this is a matter of might be slight positioning. It's a weird angle because I can see almost see your foot width here, but I kind of can't because we're at that 45 degrees. So my request for you for next week, I want to focus on squats with you right now. So I want to see from the side and I want to see from the front because I want to see how your knees are tracking. If we do from the rear, I can see that. And it also, if I'm trying to see if there's hip shift, but typically when we get down there, the butt gets in the way of the knees once you get to a certain depth and I can't see. So let me see it from the front and from the side. Because I've got a hunch, but I want to double confirm. Colin. Colin was having issues with falling off the bench. Okay, good. Control. Yep. Okay. Yard sale. All right, Colin. So there's a couple ways we can pluck this chicken. So one of them is with the instability that comes with your cerebral palsy. You typically have two ways to do it, and it's either slow and controlled or get there. So one of your valid options could be get the dumbbells up and get to it, right? Kind of let yourself, and I don't mean just flop back. What I mean is you kind of let yourself roll down while maintaining core tension. So if we're there, I'm going to try and do this without having a bench. I'm going to get here and then roll how I kind of roll out and extend. I don't just flop back. The other is ask someone for a handoff. Get in position, get set up on the bench, and have someone hand you the dumbbells for you to press up to, or have them hand them to you at lockout, whichever is more comfortable. The other thing, the third option, it's a little unconventional, but I've used it in the past, and I wish I had a fucking bench, but I don't. So we're going to see if this can hold the better part of 220 pounds. If not, I'm giving Condition One a call and let them know they need to send me a new box. So we're going to act like this is a bench. So front, back, left side, right side. The other thing you can do is get on the ground, kind of on your knees, whatever. Have your dumbbells and go here and roll yourself onto the bench. So now I'm in position. And then you can dump, sit up, get off it however you want. But all you need to do, or the other option is back towards it, one knee on the ground, elbow, back, pivot, slide. So there's a couple ways we can kind of get you, you're part is the ability to get down and on. If we get you on and you're already down, that solves the predicament. So there's a couple ways for you to try and experiment with, and we'll find something that works, buddy. It's this is where I really enjoy coaching, is these little unorthodox methods that I've been able to kind of experiment and play with. My adaptives tend to be my guinea pigs. They're durable, and we got to do shit differently. So it forces me to think outside the box. So Colin, we'll get you there. Try some of those. Let me see what works. And if those don't work, we'll find something. We'll go back to the drawing board. I will personally go in the gym after the next form check. If none of those work for you, you know what? You have the email. If any of those work, let me know. If they don't, send me an email, and I will personally go to the gym and figure out a fucking way to get you on that bench. And stop. But those are what I've used in the past for cerebral palsy clients. PR attempts. Front squat, 200-pound PR, Daniel. Since I fell backward on a barbell squat and discovered I have freakishly long femurs, I just stick to front squatting. Well, that doesn't mean you should stop back squatting. Just saying. Yeah, good fight. Maintained position too. Didn't fold, didn't break down. Look at that bar path. Fought right back up towards his face. Brilliant, Daniel. Beautiful deadlift position. I'm not a huge fan of the rolling bar method because of the risk of being out of position, and timing becomes a huge factor. Pulling on it too soon, pulling on it too late. But his 375 he nailed. I think the difference in 375 and 400, if you would have, my question for you really is, on your workup, where you're working up to 375 or 400, the jumps could have been a factor in that going or not on that attempt. 375 might have costed too much for 300 possible. But either way, 400 is in the very, very near future. You are a training block away from it, especially if you work up correctly and aiming for 4. You still walked home with a PR, man. It's still huge. Like, you were a little out front when you pulled on that 375, which is what tells me there's more in the tank. And I think we should nix this rolling method, because I don't look where you start your pull at 375. Look, we're out front and we had to kick back in the hips. Here, you start your pull here and you're way out front, and then it sucks back as you're driving. And now you're in position. Verse 400. This is why I said, like, you nailed 375, because I think you had 400 power. So it went up with the out of position. Where does it start moving? There we go. You punch in. Yep, you start your pull and you're out front. So now you're fighting, fighting, fighting. Now we're moving in the direction we needed to go, which is up. I think the pull is I think the roll is working against him, man, and this is why like I don't love it. Because it adds a timing element that I think it works for some people. They just get it right. The other thing is when you see suited deadlifters doing it, they're using it to push themselves into the tension of that triple ply suit because it is incredibly hard to get down into position with a deadlift suit on. You have to literally fight for it. At 225, when you get into position in a deadlift suit, the bar's coming off the ground because of the input and the drive it takes to get into position to get that pop out of the suit. You're already basically pulling on the bar to pull yourself into position. And because you're pulling on the bar so hard to pull into position, it's pulling the bar off the ground. So that's why you see a lot of like strong men when they're doing max deadlifts because they allow suits, which I fucking hate. I hate wearing a suit. It's a pain in the ass to get in and out of. It leaves marks. It bites. It's the most ridiculous thing watching two grown men get another grown man down into a suit. But that's why you see a lot of guys do that. You won't see a lot of elite level powerlifters. A handful do it, but a lot of your best deadlifters in the world, they don't roll the bar when they're not wearing a suit. So I think we should work on your off the floor and pulling you in because how you pull into the bar is great, but the timing on the roll, you're pulling a tad bit too early. So realistically, you're a grown man. You can either get you work on the timing, which you'll have to be a little more patient on the roll in, or we nix the roll and we pull from here where you're at now. Either way, congratulations. 400 on the right day, I think is there. I'm not saying test it again in 2 weeks, but it's there. You have 400 power. We just need 400 position. Richard. T-bar rows. Yes, much better. There's nothing else to say, but you nailed it this time around. You fixed it. First go.
Thank you.
Well
Appreciate it. It really helped that you told me like to just pull it like a row itself. I don't know why, even though it says T-bar row in the name, I was like, what am I doing here? It was more of like a squat going up, I guess, if you will. But it really helped.
And that's the tricky part is they see a different implement, they think the mechanics change. Just the angle of the pull hardly even changes on a row. The only thing where this creates variation is if you do use a little bit of leg drive, but the row path doesn't change.
Got it. Cool. Thank you, man.
Yes, sir. Well done. Amanda Duncan, barbell squat. This looks like a dope gym. Should have yelled at him for walking in front of your camera. Don't do that. Don't do that. She waited patiently. Dive bombed. The mobility, she don't even have butt wink. So that tells me her hips are very mobile, hypermobile. I mean, this is her form is fantastic. I was not prepared for her to be made out of rubber. But she absolutely buried this. This is probably one of the deeper squats we've ever seen on a form check. The main thing, so she paused this. Like this was essentially a pause squat. I mean, she just bip and then comes up. So, Amanda, fire up immediately. You hit depth. Realistically, we'll pause it here. I mean, you hinge back, you break at the hips, ascend at the knees. She goes so fast, this is going to be hard to get it at the right moment. You're at depth here. Just so you know, you're doing about 6 inches worth of extra credit. And it's not a bad thing. If you were butt winking really, 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 really bad where your hips had to advance forward into flexion, I'd be much more adamant about we need to change this. But we're not getting that out of you. This, ideally, this is where I'd like to see you land. I think this is more of your sweet spot. Oh, God damn it. Stop moving so fast, Amanda. Somewhere in here, because somewhere in here is I think your ideal squat depth. You're below parallel. You are plenty below parallel, and we're not in a range of motion where you lose tension. The downside to you going so deep, and what tells me it happens, is this little rebound. See that little bounce? It means we're having a point where we're releasing tension versus we come down to our point and we fire. So we're maintaining that tension. And you actually speed up at the last, so control, boop. That last foot, you kind of drop down into it. And we don't want to drop into it because what that means is we're letting go of something that controls the descent. And what controls the descent is the same exact thing we're inputting with to bring the bar back up to the top. So for you, I think implementing that pause at that depth I marked where there's no bob or bounce will be much more ideal to you generating power out of the hole. And it'll also put you in that muscle memory of where deep is and where that depth is going to be best for you. So with that being said, your squat looks fucking awesome. Because of that, I had to be picky. So we're kind of skipping learning to squat and we're going right into polishing, which is a great thing. Full depth, 70 pounds. You can squat way more than this. You've got a ton of power. We just need to get it at the right depth and the right timing, and your squat's going to absolutely go through the roof. Pete, rack pulls. Pete, you're playing it, Dan. Did you realize how close you were to the end of that rack when you were doing these? Are you still in here? No.
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, there's another video where I missed.
Yep. I was like, when you were coming down, I was like, I would just say walk in the rack a little more.
Okay.
We've got 3 foot of arm. Let's not use 3 inches.
I don't want to waste space, man.
I don't know what that rack did to you, but it's not going to bite.
Okay.
You can get a little closer. With that being said, a lot of good things here. Overall, these are great. The one thing that I want you to focus on, I love how I can see you're pushing weight, you're pushing effort. This is all good. Our lockout is soft. So what I mean by that is look at our hips behind our shoulders, knees are soft. This actually isn't locked out. This one, that's lockout. That's not lockout.
Right.
So what I want you to focus on when you're doing these is I want you to squeeze your ass cheeks together like you just spent $80 at Taco Bell and you're on the clock to get home.
Gas station sushi time.
Gas station sushi. Wherever you made a bad decision to stop and get food and you're paying for it. That's how hard I want you to fight to squeeze those ass cheeks together. Because what those ass cheeks do is they're pushers. They push our hips. Technically, they're pulling when they contract, but neither here nor there. They're still the mover to get this from point A to point B. Our butt does two main things in life. It helps us make babies, and it helps us build a big deadlift. So break the bar in half. Go from here to here like it owes you lunch money.
Okay.
Like, I'm telling you, when it breaks, I want to see it speed up. So you're going, you, and you're slamming into that bar, and you'll go, okay, I'm squeezing now. Like, it's until it has to be active for it to become passive.
Okay.
Because typically, if it's passive first, they're not working as hard as they could be until we've actually turned them on.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
You could see, I uploaded 2 earlier in the week and then 1 yesterday because I got called out for being a worker, so you could blow by if you want to.
Michael, deadlift 300 workups, 2 main sets. Michael's getting real close to a 400-pound pull.
You're gonna want to,
ladies and gentlemen.
You're gonna want
We're
to
talking about a 76-year-old man deadlifting 400 pounds. That is a pretty fucking awesome thing.
Oh yeah.
I got there.
Workup 1, 135. These look brilliant. Smooth, controlled, a lot of pop.
You may want to speed through some of these because this is a long video.
Okay. Workup 2. Eccentric. Yes.
I did 5 workups on this.
Okay.
Yeah, this is a single rep.
A little soft in the lockout, just a little bit. What I really want to see in your lockout is when your hips come through.
Yeah.
As you get to this point, I want you to take your upper back and I want you to squeeze it.
Okay.
The same time you squeeze your butt. So as you're finishing, I want you to fight with your entire back I want you to fight from here all the way up to here. So you're coming up, you're squeezing for dear life. Boom.
Got it.
They look good though, man. Like you did 300 for 4 working sets. Lockout's getting a little bit softer, but we're getting tired, so it makes sense.
No excuses.
I mean, that's the main thing is your lockout. From there to your lockout, you're fucking strong. And I don't necessarily think it's actually an entirely strength issue. I think it's more of just finishing awareness.
Finishing awareness. I like
Yeah, like knowing to cue that in to like really stack up. And do you have rack pulls in this current program?
Yes. No, I do not.
Okay. So when you warm up on your next deadlift day, I want you to start at a rack pull, and I don't want you to work up past like 200 pounds. And I want you to just do like 3 sets of doubles, and I want you to go from like mid-thigh to here and practice that glute contraction and that upper back contraction. So boom. And I want you to make it a little violent. I want you to come through with a vengeance.
Is that you want the whole workups to be rack pull?
No. Before you work up on your deadlift, I want you to work up to no more than a 200-pound rack pull for 3 sets of 2. Nothing crazy. This is just activation. This is just getting you to cue actively attack the bar into the lockout with
Got
the
it.
cues of squeezing the back and the butt.
Got it. Okay.
I want to see it. I want to see it. Pow! I want to see some violence.
Okay. Got it. Thanks.
Yep. I sneeze, I think. Oh, it went away. Now my eyes are just watering for no reason. Big Ben. Bench press. Good setup. Slight arch in his back. Yep, come out. Dead stop. Drive back up towards his face. Ben fucking nailed this. Top shelf, Gov. Proper form. Yeah. Oh, decision was made, and he fought for his life. Ladies and gentlemen, Ben is putting on an excellent clinic on why spotter arms are very important on a bench press. Otherwise, that would have been a lot trickier getting out from under. Ben, well done. You fought till the end. Yeah, I love that. Sometimes we miss, man. It's okay. But that means if his effort's where it's supposed to be, he's gonna miss a final rep here and there. That's what we're doing. Fuck yeah. The squat has come heaps of improvement. Look at that. Rack position. I mean, he's not folding at all. Just leg drive and heel elevation. Change the game for him. Beautiful, Ben. I love it. Jeanette, deadlifts, 235. Jeanette, did it call for sets of two? Is my question. The deadlift was strong, but you know what I'm hounding you on right now. I want to make sure you're getting your reps in. Mindy, too much arch. My butt comes off the bench sometimes with high effort reps. Is that okay? Um, it's okay, but ideally we do want to keep our butt on the bench. Occasionally, when we get to that end of the road in the set where if your butt kicks up to make the rack or not fail briefly on a rep occasionally, it's okay. No, not too much arch. It's not a ton of arch, honestly. This is fine. You're coiled in. What I want you to do to help mitigate that butt coming up is I want you to leg drive up the bench this way, not up in the air. But this is actually fantastic position. Look at those shoulders stacked on your lats. They're not coming out of position. You're nailing this, lady. Well done. Jonathan, dumbbell, kettlebell swing, but a dumbbell. I want to see more legs. Big misconception with kettlebell swings is people tend to just hinge. But we actually initiate with our legs, kind of like a deadlift. So when we're doing that motion, it actually, if we start up top, we kick up, and we come down and hinge and drive. So we're kind of arresting it with our legs and hinging for the swing. You should get a nice little quad workout when you do kettlebell swings as well. Luyen split squat and leg press, new gym. I mean, you can't really fuck up form on a leg press, because there's nowhere to go. The only thing that you can really do is come down to the point where you run out of range of motion and it rolls your butt up and you go into flexion. That's really the only thing you got to really look for with those. That was more than two. So but it's the last one, so fuck it. I'm here. I think you're a little bit too spread out. See how you have to come forward? So I'd bring that a little bit closer. So you have a nice vertical sink between versus how we kind of get this angled effect. We actually get a more of a squat, a little bit more range of motion out of it. Effort's good though. Okay. So that is the form checks. I know it's late for us over on the East Coast, but anybody got anything for me? Go ahead. Hit me, Michael. Oh, you're muted.
You're right.
There you go.
Can you hear me now?
Got you.
Okay. My old belt walked off in the gym a few months ago, and I haven't replaced it.
Oh no.
It was just leather. It was an old leather one. So I'm gonna get myself a birthday present and go high end. What should I be looking for?
There's really three manufacturers that I buy a belt from. Inzer, Pioneer, and SPD. The belt that I've had, and I'm not saying this just because you are superior in number and age, but my Inzer belt will likely outlive me. So, I have
intend to do that too.
There's a method to a double prong. You don't need a double prong. It's just what I was told to get when I first got into this, and it's got world titles on it now. So I'm attached to it. But Inzer makes ratchet, lever, single prong. Single prong's fine. But what I love about Inzer is they make the stiffest belt. I have 13 millimeter, stiff as shit. You could break into someone's car with that thing. Pioneer, they're a high-end belt manufacturer. They also do custom belts. One more thing on Inzer. I don't know if they still do this. They have a fantastic product. But you'll order your belt, and you might or might not get an email, but it'll show up one day later between 2 and 6 weeks. It'll just arrive. That's been my experience with Inzer. But they always deliver. It's 2026 now. It might be a little bit better. Pioneer, they are, you can have like snake. You can have all sorts of shit. They have different options in thickness, 10 millimeter, 13 millimeter, lever. If you want something custom, that's what Catch's pump club belt, his bougie ass pump club belt, that Pioneer. And then SPD. They make they're a little less rigid. They're still hard. They're still a very hard belt. That's the only lever belt I own. I was an SPD athlete for a long time, and so I wore it out of necessity. And the nice thing about a lever is like you don't have to take your belt off you can just flick it and becomes loose. But you kind of you have to screw it in and you set it and forget it. So the pros and cons to lever belt versus prong belt is prong. I wear a belt differently for different things. My squat, I wear it higher. My deadlift, I wear it lower. My overhead press, I wear it a little bit lower. Yoke carries and other things, I actually wear it kind of top of my ribs, and then it comes down because of where I fold. So I prefer a prong belt if I'm just using one belt for everything. But I will say, like, there is when you're, doing squatting, benching, deadlifting, if you want the simplicity, a lever belt is a really, really good option. And they're big, they're beefy. So my recommendations, top three, again, a belt is a tool of preference, but some are better than others. And it is very much a piece of equipment in the gym, much like lifters. Cry once, buy once. Spend $100+ on a belt. Don't go on Amazon and buy a belt. Just because I think you might be able to get SPD on Amazon now. I don't know. But I shop straight from the stores. I definitely recommend paying the premium for the premium when it comes to belt, because you will literally, as long as you don't lose it at the gym again, you won't have to buy another one. So those are my top three: Inzer, Pioneer, and SPD.
Great.
If you have questions within that when you're shopping, feel free to write a customer service ticket. Let them know I sent you, and they'll get you over to me, and I can help you sort it from there. Looks like Michael, I picked up Pioneer lever belt from their overstock options after Nick recommended them, and it's fantastic. There you go. We got real-time feedback in the comments right now for Pioneer. In my opinion, those three, you're not gonna have a wrong answer.
Dandy. Thanks a lot.
Yes, sir. Next.
I have a question about different squat variations.
Okay.
Doing a back squat, the typical back squat, I've got a serious arthritic shoulder that's falling. It's just painful. So I've been trying the SSB. That works. Yesterday I tried straps, using my weighted lifting straps in some of the things you showed on the back, and that seemed like give me a lot better. It felt like more of a back squat than a modified front squat with an SSB back there. Is there any take on which one is actually you would recommend going with? Or
SSB is my favorite squat variation because of its carryover to deadlift. And you know how they have that camber that kind of brings the weight more forward because it tries to fold you.
Right.
So when it comes to squatting, I love SSB just because of the translation to other things. But my first love and favorite lift over anything have always been squat and deadlifts. But I just took to squatting like a fish to water. I got very heavy very fast with those. I love a back squat. I think it's just a very fundamental, cool thing. It's a big movement. Realistically, I've seen people and I've had people do that strap method, kind of hold it there. You get under, you crank in. The SSB is safer in the realm of security and holding on. But the beauty of the strap is if you fail, you can let go and dump it. Right. You can't really dump an SSB. But it looks like you train in a gym with arms. So as long as you have the arms up. With that, there's also a bar called a Duffalo bar. It kind of arcs. Right. And people hold it wide to help with that. That's also another valid option, is if you go from this position and take it out, you should feel less shoulder impingement. But if the straps are working for you, I'd love to see a video. I'd love to see how you're holding it. Maybe we can make it better.
All right.
I
just tried it for the first time yesterday and doing a low pin squats. And I really felt like the bar was back where it should be, where the SSB, it feels like I'm almost
it's higher.
Forward. Yeah. I could get it on my shoulder blades and not my neck.
So the SSB disperses the weight across your upper back differently than if you had a barbell, just the bar that high. But the SSB is harder than a back squat because of where it sits and how it cambers. So for those of you that don't know, the safety squat bar, the SSB, has these handles that come down either side, and it has this little like kink in the bar that when you unrack, it actually cranks the bar here and it slightly displaces the weight somewhere around here. So it feels like the hand of God is on your back trying to fold you forward. You're
And
going to
it's a
have
much
great
heavier
carryover
bar.
to deadlift. I will
And
say
it's
that.
and it's about
Um,
an 80-pound bar.
yeah, they're like the super yoke bar from Elite FTS is like 65, the Rogue is 70. They're heavier.
And I always put it on backwards the first time.
Oh, so it
Yeah.
that was weird.
And I was like, whoa, no. When I go to put it on the rack, it's like I get it and I get the camber set wrong, and it's the thing.
Oh
the
yeah.
handles
And
are
then you get
front.
under it and it's like
Fuck,
up
I
in the
gotta turn
air.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I'm fine with either. Yes, the other one is going to be easier because it doesn't have the same displacement as the SSB. So it's feeling easier because it is. But it's just simply due to leverage and weight displacement. But both are totally fine options. I'd like to see how you're doing the straps just because um I want to, for peace of mind, not that I distrust you. It's more so of I want to make sure you're doing it safely, and if there's a way to improve it, form and technique on it with that method, I want to help. So,
All right.
I'd love to see the strap method, and see what we're working with.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yes, sir. I also think it's awesome that you came across that on your own, because it's one I've had someone do ever twice, two different people because they didn't have an SSB, and SSB was they had a shoulder issue. They had a botched shoulder surgery, and their range of motion on their shoulder was like here when it came to external rotation. They could go here, but they couldn't go back. So it was like we're very limited. Um, so yeah, good audible. Good call.
Awesome.
Anyone else? Nope. Going once, going twice. All right, we're gonna put a fork in it.
All right.
I'll catch y'all next week. Is next week Nashville? Are any of you guys coming to Nashville?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, that should be fun.
Time to get out of Florida.
It's humid there too. Yeah, next week is Nashville. So I will see you guys. I'll see some of you next Saturday. Until then, I plan on hitting another form check next week. It'll probably just be earlier in the week. Look at that puppy dog.
Yeah.
It'll be earlier in the week, so there's room for Nashville at the end. But honestly, the I do want to make one note, and the amount of you regulars that we have so many little people, it's good and bad because we want new faces in here to help everyone, but the amount of regulars that come in and are moving, like we only have a handful of people in here that are still on some sort of overhaul, but the majority of you, even some of you newer faces, Barrett, I know you're a little bit on the newer side to the form checks. You're moving, your hinge patterns are better, your squat forms are better. We have so many people that are just moving holistically at a much higher level than they were, like the newer people being a month ago. And Sandip has made leaps and bounds on his squat and deadlift. There's the amount of people that are moving so well, um, is why I notice and why I love this access. And I want to see it grow, but I also want to make sure we don't lose the quality of it. And even if that requires me doing more than one form check a week, I'm down because the improvements that we're getting here is just, it's very gratifying as a coach. So thank you guys for showing up as often as you do and submitting and everything. It's a pleasure. So I'll catch you guys next week, some of you twice. And I'll see you on the flip.
All right. Take care. Thank you.
Later, guys.
Thank you, Nick.